Okay, I did.
And it's doing it. There we go.
Saying recording. Okay, so you guys are all set, right?
Yes, thanks very much.
Have a
Thanks,
good
Susan.
meeting. Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you. And it's 7 o'clock, so we should get started. Today is October 13th, 2020. This is the monthly meeting of the Town of Kingston, New Hampshire Historic District Commission. The first thing that I have to do is read the governor's decree. And it's a little lengthy, but I'm going to go ahead and read it, okay? Before I do that, everyone that has said they were going to be here is going to be here. Is that true? Yes.
Yeah.
Members of the commission. Members of the commission, yes. Okay,
Yes.
I see everyone. So I'm going to go ahead and start. A checklist to ensure meetings are compliant with the right to know law during the state of emergency. As chair of the Historic District Commission, I find that due to the state of emergency declared by the governor as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and in accordance with the governor's emergency order number 12 pursuant to executive order 2020-04, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to this meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, I am confirming that we are providing public access to the meeting by telephone with additional access possibilities by video or other electronic means. We are utilizing Zoom for this electronic meeting. All members of the commission have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting through this platform, and the public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in this meeting through dialing the phone number or clicking the website address provided on the posted meeting agenda, posted at the posted at the post office and on the town hall website. We are providing public notice of the necessary information for accessing the meeting. We previously gave notice to the public of the necessary information for accessing the meeting, including how to access the meeting using Zoom or telephonically. Instructions have also been provided on the website of the commission at kingstonnewhampshire.org and posted at the post office, providing a mechanism for the public to alert the public body during the meeting if there are problems with access. If anyone has a problem, please call 603-475-3678 to report a problem. Adjourning the meeting if the public is unable to access the meeting. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting will be adjourned and rescheduled. Please note that all votes that are taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. Let's start the meeting by taking a roll call attendance. When each member states their presence, please also state whether there is anyone in the room with you during this meeting, which is required under the Right to Know Act. So I'll start it off. Susan Prescott, Chair, present and alone in my room.
Okay, Virginia Morris, Vice Chair. I am present and I am alone in the room.
Ellie Alessio, I'm present. I'm alone in the room.
Maddie?
I was going for you, Glenn.
Oh, Glenn Koppelman present. I'm the planning board's rep to this commission, and I'm presently home and by myself.
And I'm Madeline Willette, and I'm also at home by myself.
All righty, and we have a few members of the public and also applicants that are here. We've got Maureen Levesque back again. Good to see you. We've got Robert Kent. And who else? Ken.
Sweet.
Ken Sweet. Is that Ken Sweet?
Excuse me, Sweet. I'm sorry, Ken Sweet.
And Jonathan Raymond.
And that's Kurt Sweet.
Kurt Sweet, yes. Yep. Okay. So we start with critical correspondence. Now, I have a question. I have a correspondence to from Ernie Landry concerning the joint HDC meeting. Do you want me to read that now, or shall we wait until after the applications? They're trying to set up the joint meeting again with us. So we can either do that now, or we can do it after. What do you want?
Well, how long is the letter, Susan?
2 paragraphs. Want me to read it?
Sure.
Okay. Hi, Susan. Hope things are going well. Blah, blah, blah. In the past, we've talked about the notion of having a joint meeting between the HDC and HC. At our last HC meeting, we discussed the scheduling of such a meeting, and the members were agreeable that it would be possible to schedule a meeting on other than and in addition to our regular monthly meeting night. Part of the rationale behind this was the thought that having both our regular meeting and a joint meeting occur on the same night would likely result in neither meeting being very productive. Would it be possible for you to check with your members to get their thoughts on a separate meeting night for the joint meeting, and if they agree, approximately when might be an appropriate time frame for that meeting? If they are agreeable, perhaps you and I could chat about a possible agenda. My availability is generally pretty flexible. Some initial thoughts I had about an agenda. Do you want me to keep reading? Might include such items as information sharing about each commission's ongoing projects and how we might collaborate on them. Next steps for Envision Kingston 2, now that we have RSA 79E approved. Sanborn Seminary update, and any other projects that might support the goals of the Historical and Cultural Resources chapter to the master plan. I look forward to talking with you and continuing to work with you. Best, Ernie. So they are wanting to do a joint meeting on a different night than any of us normally meet. So what are your thoughts about that?
Well, that could be a challenge, because now you're trying to find a separate date that members of 2 separate boards are going to be able to get together. I mean, it just complicates it that much more. But did he offer up any possible dates or no?
He did not. And I'm thinking that because usually this board is a little slower in the wintertime, that we could possibly just schedule it for our regular meeting and have them come in, you know? That was my thought.
I would agree with that, Susan.
Okay, what about the rest of the commission?
I was going to make the same suggestion.
Okay, I will get,
That's fine.
all right,
Yeah.
so I will email him back, suggest meeting on a regular Monday.
No.
Tuesday.
You know, sorry, okay. All right, I'm crossing out regular, so, all right, Tuesday.
On a second Tuesday.
Yeah,
And I mean, you might just give him a couple of different months and let him poll his own board and see
Yeah.
what response he gets.
I shall do that. Okay. Sorry, I'm writing myself a note. Okay, that is done. The next thing, so I have no more critical correspondence to share with anyone, okay? The next thing we shall do is the minutes from last month's meeting.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of September 16 as written.
I second the motion.
All in
Marissa, did you
favor?
catch-
Well,
Marissa,
all in
did you-
favor, and we will,
We need to do roll call, but
yes, I was gonna say that. We need to do a roll call.
Marissa, did you catch the motioner and the seconder?
No, what are you referring to?
Who just made the
Referring to
motion
her-
and the second?
Oh,
for the
yes, I
minutes?
did. Yes, yep, I do have that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So now we will do the roll call for approving the minutes of last month. Susan Prescott, vote aye.
Virginia Morris, aye.
Kelly Alessio, aye.
Glenn Koppelman, aye.
Madeline Willett, aye.
Thank you very much. Passed unanimously. Town board updates. Do we have an update from the planning board?
Nothing that pertains to HDC in any way that I can remember anyway.
Okay. And CIP?
CIP, it got a little bit of it got started at the right time. Unfortunately, we had some logistical snafus, and so we're trying to regroup a little bit. And we normally would have met by now to review the submittals by departments, but that's looking like it's instead of in September, we'll probably end up meeting later this month.
Okay. Glenn, I had a question. I had a CIP budget request. They wanted me to, as for HDC, to put out a budget something, and I didn't think anything on that pertained to our board, so I didn't even do it. Should I have filed a $0 thing or just not done it? Because I didn't do it.
Well, if there are no capital projects for a particular department or board or commission, you don't have to submit anything.
Okay.
Sometimes it's good just to reply, even if it's an email to Glenn Greenwood, just saying, we received the material, we don't have anything to submit. That way he and the CIP group are not trying to guess about whether or not you got it and whether or not you're going to be submitting something. So.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. The next one is the Board of Selectmen.
We haven't been quiet at all, but I don't think we have anything necessarily that relates to the HDC. We have met a couple times with Mr. Chinberg on coming to terms with the seminary. We're almost at the end. We got a few more things to handle, and I know our chairman has been diligently working with Mr. Chinberg, and I believe he's contacted Mr. Koppelman, and a few other things need to be squared away, but we're making progress.
Okay. Thank you, Ellie. What about the Heritage Commission?
Oh boy, they were busy. They had a Zoom meeting on September 24th, and I'm going to do a quick review. The Plains Cemetery National Register application, that's progressing as scheduled, slowly, but as scheduled. They've put in a assessment status, waiting for the end of the month to have the Grace Daily Barn be preserved, and they've contacted the Preservation Alliance about that. They're waiting for an update, or excuse me, an answer at the end of the month. There was a lot of talk about whether the town signs were up yet. I haven't seen them. They were supposed to be up.
Oh, they are.
They're all up except for one.
Yep.
Well,
Yep.
what's the matter with me? I've been riding my bicycle all over the place and I haven't seen them. Well, hooray, that's wonderful.
Yeah, they
They
look
look-
great.
They look great.
Look great.
They look great.
Yeah.
They really do. A lot of
Well-
positive comments have come our way because of them.
Wonderful. As soon as it stops raining, I'll look harder. And the bandstand is getting repainted or has been. They have a proposed CIP items, and that's coming into Glenn and the two Glens. And let's see. The book for publication of the update of the history of the town is ready for publication in either January or February of this year. It's been a lot of work, and Bob Bean has been working really hard on that. And then they're looking for fundraising ideas. They haven't done a fundraising for quite a while, so that's going to be a future topic. But anybody who has any good fundraising ideas, or people who love to do fundraising, they want to hear from you. And let's see.
Good luck on that one.
Yes, right. I did share with them that Randy Kezar had taken all those pictures of our buildings in HD1, and Madeline had them all on her computer, right, Maddie?
Right.
So I shared them with Bob Bean, and lo and behold, not only did we have all the pictures, but there were CDs there. And so he was able to archive them. So those are preserved, because they're working really hard to preserve those pictures and have a file of what did it look like, what does it look like now, to keep track of how the buildings are changing in the future. And then they're also working on houses that they think are in jeopardy of either changing or being torn down or whatever, to try to preserve inside and out. So there are some plans to take some more pictures. Walt has been helping Bob with that. So they're pretty busy.
Thank you, Virginia.
Okay.
The last one is zoning board. Is there any update on the zone from the zoning board?
Nothing that relates right to the HDC. We didn't have anything this month, and I'm not sure what's coming up ahead. There's nothing on the schedule, so but
Okay.
nothing related to the historic district.
Okay, thank you, Ellie.
You're welcome.
So, moving right along, we have application for 176 Main Street, Maureen Levesque. This was the one that Virginia is sort of still spearheading because of the changing saddles and midstream that we just did. So Virginia's been helping Maureen with this, and do you want to take it from here, Virginia?
Sure, I will. Well, Maureen looked at, we gave lots of samples. Hi, Maureen. We gave
Hi, Maureen.
lots of samples of specific fences around the town that are already in place. And they chose one, she and the other people in the condo group chose one that they like. And that and pictures of what the current fence looks like, front and back, came to you. And then a picture of what the new shed is going to look like. That will be, the peak of the new shed will be lower than the height of the new privacy fence. And then at the last minute, I had sent out the wrong picture of the door they would like to put on the side. The image that they sent of the shed didn't show the side. The side, Maureen, I assume it's the side facing the house, right? That would have the door on it so that they can take the trash cans in and out. And chose a siding called
Smart side. I think.
Smart Side. Smart Side, which is a little more real board-like, and they've chosen a cedar texture with a vertical line to it. We sent that. It's going to be painted white to match the house, and shed roofing will be black asphalt. And we have the dimensions of the fence. So those were sent along, and the picture of that side door just came today. So, sorry,
so we'll-
Maureen, I kind of took that away from you, but I
No,
had
but thank
I had
you
all
for,
the words right here in front of me, so I thought I would go through that.
well, thank you for all your help, I really appreciate it.
It was fun, Maureen, helping you. It was fun to, I was telling Virginia, I was the one that was driving around taking pictures of everyone's privacy fence and feeling extremely creepy, but that was, I'll personally just say that, I personally had an issue with the stockade fence that they had proposed, and I spoke with Maureen about it, emailed her and said, I have, just personally, not speaking for the board or anything, but I said, here are some examples of existing stockade fences that are a little more appropriate to the district. So I was happy to help in that.
And it did help, it did, so I appreciate that.
Before the rest of us discuss this, I did have an email from Ralph Murphy, and he's read over both applications for intent on approval along with the photos, and these are his comments. Now I'll read his comment on this application and then on the next one. So Ralph says, I think that the new fence for the Levesque proposal looks good and should fit in nicely with the property. The shed is on the concept of a typical barnyard building. That's what Ralph says. Okay. So do we have any other discussion or comment?
Susan, I'd like to bring up the fact that we really have two votes here. There were two applications. One, permission to demolish that fence as it exists.
Okay.
And then a second one to rebuild, or actually a new design of a privacy fence, plus add the shed. So there really are 2 votes to be taken.
Okay, all right. Do we have any discussion on the first one? Yes, Glenn?
Just a question for clarification. It sounds like both the fence and the shed will be white. The only difference in color will be the roof, which will be the black shingles.
Yes.
Okay. So even the door that Virginia sent the picture of will be white as well? Because it was red in the picture.
Yeah, that should be white too.
Okay.
That was the only choice of image. There wasn't a white one available to send.
Well, that's fine. That's why I just want to make sure that, because it's really hard on Zoom like this, and where we've shared all these things electronically, and of course we're now, this is we're in a meeting now beyond where we originally started. So when it comes time to make a motion on this, I think we need to just make sure that we're all on the same page with what we're talking about.
Glenn, I think that's a very good idea. And when there are specifics like that, where there's a question like, what color will the shed door be? I always write bulleted, with a certificate of approval, bulleted pieces that go with it, so that the building inspector can see it, and we've documented what we've all agreed to. So that would include the shed and doors will be painted white like the house.
And would you also be including the graphics that would show the style of the shed and the style of the
Yes.
fence, so that?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Great. Excellent.
So I'll move that we to allow the demolition of the current shed at the 176 Main Street property.
And the fence and
And the fence.
it's really the fence, right?
It's all one piece.
It's all one piece.
It's
So
a fence, it's a fence shed, all one
Yes.
item. Yes.
It's an all-in-one.
Okay,
Mhm.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
So let's do, so the motion was made by Ellie and seconded by Glenn. We'll do a roll call vote. Susan Prescott, aye.
Virginia Morse, aye.
Ellie Alessio, aye.
Glenn Koppelman, aye.
Madeline Willett, aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Maureen. Thank you for your patience with us through the process. You've been very good to work with.
We're not done yet.
Oh, we're not done yet.
I know you're gonna do
Oh,
that too, yeah.
I'm so excited. Thank you, Maureen, for letting us approve the demolition of your shed. Now on to the second thing. Where would I be without you guys keeping me in check?
I make a motion that we accept the design of the new shed and the new privacy fence as detailed in the written explanation.
I have a question for that. Just one little question. In the application for the fence, it said 24 feet perpendicular to the road, and then it showed a separate line going off to the side in a diagonal.
Yeah.
Is it going to be connected? Because it looks like it's
Yes.
not connected. So it's going to be just
It is going
continuous.
to be, yes.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. Okay,
Are you seconding it then?
I will second.
So the motion was made by Virginia and seconded by Madeline. Any more discussion? We'll take a vote. Susan Prescott, aye.
Virginia Morse, aye.
Ellie Alessio, aye.
Glenn Koppelman, aye.
Madeline Willett, aye.
Okay, can I get excited yet?
Yeah. Now
Okay,
you can.
Yay.
all right. What I said before, Maureen, thank you.
Yeah,
All right.
okay.
So,
Maureen, I'll explain to Maureen. What I do is I make a copy of the certificate of approval for
Mhm.
both things, for demolition and for the rebuild. And I send a copy to you. which you can share with the other tenants, the other condo owners. I also send a copy to, well, we keep a copy for our records, and a copy goes to the selectman's office because that goes in your file, and the building inspector will, you'll need your building permit, and the building inspector will look at that and check it out and make sure. And we just always emphasize to the applicant, you need to do exactly what you have there. If you make any changes, it needs to come back to the board. But you've been back a lot of times, so I think we've got it
Yes.
all set. So that should come to you very soon.
Okay, okay.
Okay?
Well, I appreciate all of your help, Virginia and Susan, and thank you, everybody. I
You're
can't wait
welcome.
to get this started now.
We
Okay.
look forward to seeing it.
All
Yes,
right, take care.
you too.
Bye.
Thanks, Maureen.
Bye. Take care.
Bye.
Okay. So the next, do we have the people for the next applicant in the room here for 167 Main Street? The,
I think you
I
have.
call it the general store. Is that what everyone else refers to it as, or?
That's what I call it, but it's a,
Yes, we're here. Ken Sweet, Kurt Sweet are here.
Hi, Ken.
Hello.
oh, there he is.
Looks like Kurt is here as well.
I am here. I have my PC. So if we need to put it in anything, I'll probably always put it up.
Or your audio is terrible.
I agree.
Oh, man. Did you say that you have visuals that you can put up if folks want to see them? Is that what you just said?
Well, that's what I was told.
Oh my God.
Yikes.
Oh,
Yeah.
are you two in the same room? Is that why it's
Yeah.
echoing? Ah,
So he just moved. He's on Bluetooth.
okay.
He's got all the computer stuff. I'm just a
Okay.
dumb.
So Ken, was he saying that he could display this stuff on the screen if we wanted him to?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Okay. Do you want to start with the presentation?
We also have John Raymond with us, the contractor, so he'll do a lot of the talking.
Okay, John Raymond. Hi, John. Okay.
Everything we sent is what we're still working with, so we don't have too much difference
Yeah.
that I know.
So your certificate of approval is, you're asking for new windows, new siding, and repairs. Proposed start date to be determined.
Yeah, I think there was a little question on the stairs, and that's just really a cement repair. That's nothing being replaced, so that Kurt just kind of gave you too much information. There's a mix match of doors, some of which are rotted out, steel doors and that stuff. And we're just going to change those out as needed. And then the siding, I think that's obviously the siding and the trims that are in such bad, it's about 80% sided now. And so that's what we want to try to work on. And the new windows will obviously be great for the tenants.
So Susan, are we going to go right to questions now, or does the applicant have more presentation to do?
We don't really have a presentation because I'm not Susan, but we don't have a presentation because we sent in all the brochures and all that.
Right. Yes, and all of the brochures were distributed to the commission members. Does anyone have a question? I know it's like, how do you know if all that you got is all there is? But I'm pretty sure everyone has received all of the application, the complete description, the pictures, the brochures, all of that. I'm pretty sure you have all received.
And the
Okay.
video.
And the video, yes.
Right. Well,
So,
I'll start off. I mean,
okay.
I could probably ask lots of questions, but I'm just going to do one for the start to start it off with. In the video and in the stills, it looked to me as if the on the front of the building, the fan window up at the top of the structure does not appear on any of the renderings, and I'd like to know what the plan is for that.
Well, we were proposing that we wouldn't have it because it's in the attic.
Well, I think what we want to see is the general store for the town of Kingston is one of the icons of our historic district. And I think any detail that is on the front of that store needs to be preserved. And we've allowed vinyl siding in the past, but always with freesia boards, corner boards, fascia boards, all of that detail, columns, window trim, everything needs to be preserved. So that's going to be a big stickler, at least with me.
Well, I would take it one step further, Madeline, and it's not just the front of the building in this case, although that's where most of the detail is.
Right.
The building is visible from all four sides, whether you're coming up Depot Road, whether you're coming north or south on Main Street, or whether you're approaching it from the other direction, whichever
Right.
one I missed.
Right.
I mean, it's a 360-degree kind of thing. Oftentimes in the historic district, we're dealing with properties that, have one or two sides that are critical for visual purposes. In this case, it's more. I see it more as a 360-degree kind of thing.
Well, I can respect that, but it's looking pretty worn down. And by giving it a complete refurb as we're proposing, is a substantial boost to the area. And I'm not suggesting we won't go back to the window, by the way. That's not really the debate. So I'm not sure how else to approach it. A lot of the vinyl siding that's existing has either blown out. It's a mess. So we want to tear it all off and put it back on, and put insulation on and do it right. And the wood is, I like wood. Wood is nice, but there's a lot of issues with the wood, and that's why we do propose a replica vinyl. John, is that really vinyl, or am I calling it the wrong thing? Is that styrofoam? I don't know if you heard me.
It looks like he's frozen in time.
Yeah, he's new to Zoom. He's trying to do this with us because he couldn't come to the meeting. So,
well, it looks like his signal is probably either lost or slowed down because he's not responding in any way.
Yeah, well, I'm going to make some notes anyways. But so anyways, that's where we're coming from as obviously the main as I call it, the 3-story structure, that was the original general store. That right side is certainly not part of the historic value. It's some form of clapboard that was put on, not very well cared for. The best solution really is for us is to cover it and make it look pretty. And so that's what we got to talk about.
Can I ask you, at the very beginning, I think you said something like, it's mostly sided now. I didn't stop to thump on the side of it when I was riding my bike around, but I know there's vinyl, but is some of it wood? So it's a mixture of vinyl and wood on it currently?
Yes. So the I would just say the 3 sides. That's why I'm guessing 80%. The 3 sides of we'll call it the main structure, are vinyl. Like you guys said, so the front is not vinyl. Okay. And then those 2 little store fronts are also I'm going to just say clapboard.
Mm-hmm.
With the side that faces the.
But again, that was an addition. Whatever. Look, we want to work with you guys anyway. We're just trying to figure out how to do it. And obviously, what we're proposing is actually an extreme amount of money for what we've been able to get out of the building. We just don't like how it looks as it sits and how it's been. So that's that's our reason. We could also leave that. I mean, the fan window, truthfully, we could leave. We don't necessarily have to even make it vinyl. It's got one pane of glass that needs repair. That's not a big deal.
Okay, so I'd like to weigh in on the fan. I have the hold on, because I want to say this correctly. The 1980 to 1983 Cultural Resource Survey, Inventory, and Plan that was done by the Rockingham Commission. And I'm looking at your structure, and I'm going to read a little bit of it because I think it helps us understand about the history of the building, which we're trying to make viable for you to own, for a business to be in, and for tenants to have, and still preserve the character of the building. That's what we're trying to do together. The Country Store is a 3.5-story structure built at the turn of the century with some Greek Revival characteristics, including gable front orientation to the street. So that's what we're looking at right there where it has the down-to-earth garden shop. And a closed pediment in the gable containing a semicircular radiating fan blind. So that has been there from the get-go as far as this documentation. The entry is sheltered by a 1-story flat roofed porch supported by 4 freestanding posts, and you're talking about refurbishing those posts. The eaves treatment consists of a boxed cornice and wide frieze. Paneled pilasters frame the main block. Now here's a question for us about windows. Most of the windows have 6/6 sash, with some 9/6 and 8/12 sashes as well. The main block rests on a granite foundation. Then the addition was there when this was done. A 1-story flat roofed wing projects to the south. It has clapboard siding, 1/1 windows, and rests on a concrete foundation. A second 1-story gable roofed wing also projects to the south. It has shiplap siding and rests on a concrete block foundation. So, and then it says significance of the building. The Peaslee Bakey store has occupied this focal location in the center of town since its construction around 1845. Its present 3.5-story configuration dates from 1870, when the 2nd story was elevated to make room for the masons to meet in. The result is an extraordinarily tall, narrow Greek Revival structure, whose facade is surmounted by a full pediment. Because of its pivotal location, the Peaslee Bakey store maintains its historic function as a center of commerce in Kingston. So we know it's been there a long time. We sure hope it's a center of commerce as commerce comes back. And I want to work with you to make it workable and livable and viable. But number one is leave that fan at the top.
All right, we can drop that. We'll leave the fan at the top. Do
Okay.
you think it has to stay a wooden window, or because then it doesn't? It's, you know, we did look at getting one made for that, and again, because of the significance of it, if we want to match all our other windows, and you know, I do want to say one thing: we couldn't get a store in there. The prior owners couldn't get a store in there, so the viability as a store has left. The flower shop so far okay, but we don't know, you know. So as far as what mercantile really works there, we don't know. Right now, that's what we have.
I have a question. Have you read on the town website, we have the guidelines on for the historic district for preservation guidelines. Have you gone through that to see what exactly our role is in as a commission?
I know at some time, I didn't look at it recently. At some time, you know, I do know that, I mean, I could go through some examples in the district that are absolutely not showing any historic, but I'm not on this call to argue about anything. I'm on this call to say, we own the asset. We want to restore the asset to something that works for the commission as well as for us without bankrupting the project. And You know, we looked into this before and we were absolutely, and we can see that vinyl's used a lot in the historic district. Obviously, different locations are different locations, but, you know, that's where we're at. I mean, I look at the Kingston House of Pizza and I see all that vinyl that's on there, and that may not have historic value, but that's in the historic district. So I don't really see the consistency of the plan. So, but again, we proposed what we proposed, and we're going to listen to you guys. We looked at a restoration on it. It would just absolutely destroy it. We can't keep wood. The cost of painting it, the cost of maintaining it, it's just astronomical.
I don't think you're getting it, Mr. Sweet. It's
I'm
not
not.
so good. You're not. You are not
Okay.
getting it. The
Okay.
issue is not vinyl. That is not
Okay.
the issue.
Well,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was in
yeah.
the email. Wait a minute. With all due respect, that was in the email. So to say I'm not getting it, it was said that the chairman was not in favor of vinyl.
Yes, that is absolutely true. That was my personal opinion. And I asked you if you had considered pricing out a hardy board type of product, which is a little less maintenance than wood, or wood clapboards. And I didn't hear back whether you'd price that out or not.
No, I understand. Actually, truthfully, the clapboard could probably continue. We could probably actually do nothing and let it continue as it is for another 10 years, 15 years. It's not like anything's falling off or there's any problem. We're trying to make a substantial investment in the corner. And we're trying to make it something that we're really proud to pull up to, instead of something that's just deteriorating, which is what's going on. So when you bring in
We're
a
on
painter,
the same page as we're on the same page with you. I'm on the same page with you as that, as far as wanting to see something there in the center of town that is attractive and historically preserved. So I think we're on the same page as that. I think we're gonna need to hammer out some of the details.
I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anybody. I deal with a lot of boards, which is why I'm the big mouth talking. And I do want to go back to, I forget her name, because she was saying I missed the point. So I want to know the point I was missing, because I was, again, thinking about the vinyl. We've already addressed the missing window. We've took care of that.
I'll jump back in. I'm Ellie Alessio.
Yeah. Hi, Ellie. Sorry. Yes.
That's okay. I said you were missing the point because we're not, I don't think the debate is whether or not to use siding. It's the issue is to preserve some of the architectural details of the building. That's the issue. And
Yes.
when I didn't notice the window, the fan window upstairs, but my colleagues are correct. That's part of the original structure. We'd like to have that preserved. If you can come up with a way to preserve it that meets our requirements and fulfills your need to preserve the building, minimize heat loss, maximize the cost reductions to you and to your tenants, that's all good. We're all here to do that. We don't mean to sound adversarial, because we're not. We know that there's a lot of vinyl siding throughout the historic district. We recognize that, and recognize the need for homeowners and or businesses to cut down on fuel costs. We understand that. But the beauty of the buildings that need to be preserved it's in the detail. And you will have to expend some extra money to do that. And there are members of this commission who live in the district and have done that with their homes and understand that. So we're not saying go away. The pictures you sent us were beautiful of that front building. There's no question about it. And the color, the trim, all of that was nice. Even the walk, how you entered the building was different than it is now. And I'm sure those are details that my colleagues on the commission will want to know more about. So why I said you missed it's not about the siding, it's about the details.
Well, I wanted to mention the way the corners are now, the way it was last done was not done correctly. So it's there's basically Luan was put on. It was just all done in a paste and glue. And that's not the right way to do those fluted corners and all that stuff. So and believe me, I was anti-vinyl for a long time, including, and on those corners, I'm not a preservation guy, although we've done a lot of restoration of things, and I always want to save everything. But in this case, we looked at it from both approaches, And like I say, on those corners, the vinyl looks so, the replicas, I should call them, look so good to me. Now, I'm not a historic preservationist, you know, but that would look a lot nicer if it was hand carved and all this other stuff. But as you know, the rents don't exactly, we can't command the rents in Kingston. So that being said, I guess I'd like to hear the feedback about since we lost John, about the proposed materials then, particularly on the corners. The vinyl siding's a different thing. I mean, it's grown on me over the years because of the way it holds color and maintains. And I think most people would agree with that. And as far as the hardy board goes, we weren't looking to strip it and throw it all away. And that's why we were looking partly to use vinyl. And John's back with his bird. So John, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
All right. Do you have some input for us on these corners, John? Because, you know, the replicated vinyl ones, are those vinyl or are those styrofoam? I don't remember what you told us.
You got to unmute yourself.
Okay, the corner would be made out of PVC. So it'll replicate the size of the corner that you have right now, so the detail would be the same. Just to give you a background, I've done a lot of historical buildings that got approved by different cities, Methuen, Newburyport. The vinyl they make today, and you mix it with PVC and some other stuff, you can have the same detail. And there'll be no maintenance for the owner. When you talk about hardy and stuff, hardy does not work in New England. It's a cement board. It breaks down. It looks good, but longevity for the owners, it's not a good investment. They have a lot of class action lawsuits. The vinyl that we propose is Certainteed, which is owned by Sanko Bay, and they stand behind the product. The building's already been done with siding, with a lower end grade of siding, and the suites want to spend more aggressive to a siding that looks like wood. And the way we put the siding on the right color, you ain't gonna see the seams. So there's different qualities of siding jobs out there and different contractors. I got 35 years experience. So the difference between me and some other people is the detail. And if you're concerned about the detail, we're gonna make this building pop, and it's gonna bring new, with the windows, with the grid system and the stuff that we talked about with the suites, it's really gonna pop the thing. Because right now, it looks bad for the town, that building. So if you leave it alone.
With the PVC, can you duplicate?
I can duplicate the corners the way they are. They'll be duplicated exactly the same.
Okay.
So it will not be a change. It will just be made out of PVC. It'll be the same big corners on the building. So what we can do is give you some pictures of some work we did, and we can take some pictures if you want to mock up the corners right now. We'll duplicate the corners exactly made with PVC. And that the PVC comes 20 feet. So there'll be one seam on it, but you ain't gonna see it. It butted in together. So you won't have, well, you guys are worried about taking away from the building. The building was taken away a long time ago with the vinyl. You want the steel bronze good. And that's what the rate of siding you're buying is gonna make a lot more about, and the window detail and the other detail that you guys are looking at. It's a building. A lot of people, that's what they're about to that product. You know, I look a different way. I don't really need, I do a lot of high-end jobs.
I'm having a really hard
I
time.
can't hear.
understanding.
I can't hear him.
Color. If you side as vinyl, because the product now they extrude the sign different.
John, your internet connection is failing, and we can't get what you're trying to convey.
John, we don't think you have a good internet connection.
He's frozen up again. Okay.
Maybe what we can do is call him and ask him to call in.
Oh, instead of your video, because that takes less, I guess.
Yes, you could do that.
That's true.
Yeah, if he were to sign on and just turn the video off, it could help.
All right, we're trying to use technology to get a hold of them.
Okay, while you're trying that, one of the two of you, let's talk a little bit about the windows. I can see from that long passage I read about the survey many years ago that the windows have been mix and match for a long time. There's some 4/4 and some 1, 2, 3, 4, 12 over 12 and 12
8
over
over
8,
8.
I guess. Anyway, what are you going to do about replacing those windows? What are they going to look like?
I think we have to make some decision on how many grids we're going to have, because that's what they are, really, right? So we're calling them lights, right? So the 9 lights, the 6 lights. I heard you say that report from the 80s talked about a 9 light and a 6 light.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
I think some of the and I haven't looked at each one. And John, they were asking us about which grid we were going to do. We don't necessarily have to replace them as exact because there's such a mix of them. But I guess we'd ask you guys what you want, because it's not that important to us which grid we use. I don't know what's more better within the Historic Commission. What's more typical of what was there? You know, a bigger window may need to be 9, but a smaller window may need to be 6.
Well,
Can you hear?
I don't have any history prior to what I read to you about what was there. So I don't know what the original number of lights were for each window. So I'm interested in what other members of my board have to say about.
And that's probably changed over time, especially just in the reading that you did, Virginia. It sounds as if the building started off being smaller and then it was added onto.
Yes.
And so it might be that when it was added onto, that the addition had different windows with different treatment, perhaps. So who knows what it might have been. The other issue is that the windows on the store right at the bottom, I think, are they're larger panes. Because it's a commercial kind of so they're like 2/1 or something, or which is different than the residential units up above.
Right.
Yeah. And that's understandable. I mean, you know, when you have those larger windows in a commercial space, it's understandable that they would be different.
And you'd want those larger windows in a commercial space.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So I guess it's important to put in the details that the windows should be the same size as the existing. In other words, don't just take them all out and put in a bunch of all the same size, smaller windows, because it will change the look of the building.
So we'll clarify that. We would be replacing pretty much in kind. You could be, obviously, to fit the window frame. You're going to reuse the window frames. We're not framing them in. You
Okay,
pull
so
those out, you put the new vinyl ones in. The new vinyl ones have J channels built into them, which are going to give them a nice look. John, can you talk about that? Can you hear us?
No, you lost him again. He's back frozen up.
I don't think. All right, so we're going to continue unless he pops in. So we had a big one of the reasons we were going with him is because he likes to use the ones that come in pre-trimmed, and they have the J channel built into them, and it's a lot cleaner look. So I don't know if you guys go ahead.
When you say pre-trimmed, Ken, what you mean that the boards on the outside around the frame?
Yes, it would be PVC boards. Also, a lot of people know of AZEK, right? So, but I mean, AZEK's just a brand, but it's a PVC board that will look, I think, will look nice and clean. And like I said, on the J channel, usually you take a J channel, you staple it, you nail it all around the window, and then you bring your siding into that. These already come pre-assembled, so it's a nicer, it's going to be a cleaner look.
It's a cleaner look with 3.5-inch casing with a sill. And the grid pattern would be whatever you guys want, the sides on the side, but the manufacturer would tell us what size grid pattern should go in the window. They recommend it, Harvey Industries. They would recommend it if you got a 6/6 or 4, so it doesn't look boxy. With the grids, I lost you a little bit. The grids would be like a colonial grid style that's really detailed, that goes back in time. So the building will look great when it's complete, but it will all have clean lines, so it's really gonna make a difference to you. And the most important thing is the trim work and other things we do with the PVC. That's the most important thing on that building, because the siding is just a buffer. It's the other detail that you guys are worried about, which will make look the same.
When you say look the same, you're telling us that you're going to do an exact replica of the trim?
As close as possible, that's correct, with PVC.
Well, as close as possible is not exact, so would you please clarify that for us?
Okay, so if something's really rotted, they make certain trim and all the pieces that we can put on with PVC. So like your corners are boxed out, the corners are probably 12 inches wide. So we need a 1x6 and stuff that would add that detail to your corners that you have now. So we take a picture and submit the detail to you guys.
And the, excuse me, I'm sorry. The at the top of the corners, there is detail on the corners. And then at the top where they go out like that, there's like a what do you call the top?
Capital.
What?
The
Capital. Yes, underneath the where the eaves meet the side of the building, and that will be replicated as well. It won't be eliminated.
Some things have already been eliminated from the building, so I'd have to walk around and again take some more pictures. Some of the details already been taken off.
Okay, we've got Madeline. The pictures that you sent are excellent. What year were those from? 1989.
That was 2009.
2009. Okay. And the details at the top of the trim board, the corner boards, are very clear in those photographs. So
Yes.
we can forward those over and make sure that those are retained. Our major point on this commission is to be certain that historical details are maintained and preserved and not covered up. No architectural details will be covered up. And that's where we drive from.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, I support that idea. We just have to figure out, there's a couple questions we have, but on the post in the front, is there a preference on those posts? We can get those in a fiberglass, we can get those in a PVC. Do they have to be the same? Do you think they have to be close to the same shape? It's a tapered post is what it is. It doesn't have.
Yes, I would say yes.
Okay.
It needs to be a replica.
Right.
And the top and the bottom details need to be there. The top blocks, those are important details. They're beautiful, and that's part of the architectural detail of that building. That's beautiful.
Yeah, we have a porch, and we have fiberglass columns on our porch. So, and they're perfect. They don't rot. They're perfect.
Well, the ones there are rotted.
Right.
The question, I guess the other question I had about the post was, let me think where I was going with that thought. What I wanted to know is in 2009, maybe that's when they did this work, the prior owners. Did they get historical approval then?
This was just pictures at the time, not because anyone did any work, just where the building was at that time.
They did a lot of work around that time. That's why I asked the question, because that's actually when they did the concrete. I remember when it was done, and I didn't know what, and I also know there was a history of them not asking and doing, which is what we've been careful to not do. So, so we're not really so positive. Even so on those trims, I guess what's there, everybody's okay with and think it's close to the original. So that's what we'll work toward. If we had a picture that was even better than that, we could even do better, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
What they replicated in 2009 may not be as good as if we had something from a little while before that.
Well, the pictures that Madeline shared with us from 2009 actually look pretty decent as far as photographs and
Yes.
with the detail represented on them.
Okay, if you can share those with us. I believe that was the last work done of any significance, and they did it. They cleaned it all up. But like I said, they used more like a Luan, some really thin boards, and those are just, you can just see bad joints.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, you agree. So the other door we were considering eliminating was the side delivery door that's no longer needed where all the cars park. I didn't see a significant, I wasn't thinking it was significant, but I want to put that out to the board to ask you.
Do you feel that you don't need that for the business activity at that level?
Right, we don't, and the car's parked there, so the new lady never gets a delivery. So if we just get rid of that door, it's another draft point, and it's not a great door. And the old store must have got the deliveries there at one time, you know?
Yeah, I guess the only reason I ask, Ken, is that, you know, the current tenant doesn't need that door or use it apparently. But I mean, you as the owner of the property, I'm just kind of thinking down the road if, you know, if you might have a different tenant who you know, let's say you do have someone who wants to rejuvenate a general store, would you want to have that access there?
Yeah, we'd be back asking for permission to put it back in, wouldn't we?
Yes.
Yeah, you would.
All right, we'll just replace that. We'll replace
Well,
that one.
Think
We're
about
just
it.
trying-
Think about it.
Well,
We
I'm
didn't
not,
want to do.
Yeah, think about it.
yeah, I'm not suggesting that you don't do that. I'm just saying to kind of think it out before you make that,
Yeah.
that
I just
jump.
wanted to make sure that no one saw that as an old historical significance. I didn't myself. I see the front of the building, certainly. I can support. Oh, how about the Kingston store sign? I know there was a lot of issue about that years ago when it was a store. We don't have any need to have the Kingston store sign on there anymore. It's obviously going into disrepair. And I wanted to see what the board was thinking.
When there was some siding put on without permission. There were quite a few things done without permission. When I got on the board, it was time to deal with the permissions. And that included the sign that's on the porch roof that says, it said Kingston Village Market, where the florist shop is now. It said Kingston Village Market. And we worked hard. The old sign had things like Coca-Cola on it. And so we kept that. We worked on the color. They changed the color. And we discussed keeping the old Kingston sign that is up, way up at the very top between the two top windows. And that had been there almost forever. And we kept it as a historical marker, I would say, because it violates our sign ordinance in that there would be two signs on the front of the building. But we kept it there as a historical marker. And I don't know, I'd like to see what my other board members say about that. I see you don't have it on the pictures that you have. It's on the ones Maddie sent. I don't know, but we just kept it there for old time's sake because it had been like that forever.
I thought it was there just to, it looked like they covered over a window and they just put something to even it out and make it more symmetrical.
Nope, they saved the sign and then put a new one that said Kingston Village Market right underneath that front roof. Of course, you could paint the words Bakey all across the long side the way it used to be years ago.
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
That would really look nice.
That's what it
Well,
is.
I mean, just if you're looking for comments on that sign up on the front, the high up sign, the old one, I'm not sure that I feel strongly about that, but I could go either way on that one.
I feel like if it could be restored and look nice, it does add some charm to the downtown commercial area. It's pretty old timey. I think it's kind of charming. So I would be in favor of trying to preserve that detail.
I agree.
I don't
But
feel
we're not. But it's
strongly on
no.
it.
But it's no longer the Kingston store.
But it's part of the history.
Okay.
Fix it.
We'll paint it new colors. How's that sound? No, I'm kidding. What
Gotta give
else?
them something, Ken.
I'm gonna have to check the color ordinance.
Careful.
Is there a color ordinance? I haven't looked because we're not using bright colors on this one.
No lime green.
Well, you know, Ken, interesting you mentioned that. There isn't an ordinance for color, but color is one of the things that this commission is tasked with dealing with as part of your approval.
So how do you guys feel about that color we submitted?
Oh, for the siding, you mean?
Yes, yeah, that's the big thing yeah.
Well, normally in normal circumstances, we would see in person a sample of the siding that you're proposing, but doing it all on computer, it's hard to get a true idea of what the color is. It's a gray, is that what it is? Grayish blue. It's hard to tell from the computer images, for me at least.
Let's see if we can find out the name of the color. That might give us a clue. I think John is frozen again.
Yeah.
So
yep, we lost him.
let us
It
see.
almost.
No, he's moving.
Oh, there he is.
John, you know that color?
Granite gray or sterling gray? Granite gray or sterling gray?
It gives us some
Did you hear
idea.
me?
Yes.
But it's
Yeah.
the color, the gray changes if they go granite gray. When the sun hits it, it lightens up. When it gets darker at night, it darkens.
I liked it because it complements the new fire station going up.
I like the color.
Yep.
Okay, well, if the
Pretty good
consensus is our color's okay, where do we go from here?
The detail.
Did you submit any cut sheets or details about the doors that you plan to put in? You said you were going to replace some doors.
You know what? I'm going to say half of them are already just typical steel doors that you see at Home Depot and Lowe's. So if I was just intending to use the typical doors because those had no real significant, because the store is the only one that had, that's just a storefront door. We're not changing that door, by the way. Not that, I can't believe that was, I don't know how long it's been there, but all the other doors are either steel doors that have rotted out and some of them are wood doors that are just there's probably actually, it's just we want to change them. If we don't do all the, if we do all this siding and then we leave the old doors there, it's not going to look too good. That's the conclusion we came to. So that was the reason we were just going to use steel doors.
Kurt, did you, in my email back to you, I asked you for a photo of the exact windows and exact doors. Have you been able to, you told me you were going to try to get pictures of those. I don't remember seeing those.
We did send you the brochure of the windows.
Yes.
Yeah.
And on the doors, what we were proposing is what's there. We're trying to get it so it's all uniformed. Like, you know, we have metal, we have wood, we have all different stuff there. So what we're thinking is if we're not looking to like change the design of them so much as, okay, so if this door was this way, we want it to be all the same. So that's what we're trying to do. So we didn't really go and get the different doors, but we want to get it uniformed.
So there's one door now there's two newer doors. They've just been replaced out of necessity over time. And those either are blank, you know, just blank metal doors, or one of them has two little windows in the top. So that's one option. We're kind of open on that one as far as on the store ones, because we were planning to replace, was it two on the store ones?
Yeah, the old candy store.
Yeah. The old candy store has just two little windows in the top. And that's just what's been there since, I don't know. And that door is fine. We weren't going to change it.
Then the old post office, that has like a double panel. They're all different.
Yeah. So we were thinking of just putting it with the two because it's got nice windows on each side. So the door doesn't really need, someone doesn't need to see going through the door is what I'm trying to say. In the apartment, there's
Okay.
only the other one in the apartment.
Okay. I do agree that it would be best to make all the doors uniform. I think it would look really good. I think that you need to choose a design that complements the style, the period of the building. It was built in 1845, so I don't know if it would be a, some sort of a, I know they make steel replicas of 6-panel doors, what they call Christian doors even. But we definitely need to see the exact, as part of your application, we need to see the exact doors that you're proposing. Okay, so we're not at liberty to just approve things that are non-specific.
Well, so the other option, we don't do the doors and we just paint them and we leave them and they're mixed. And I'm looking at the pictures right now because, for instance, just because going up to the apartment doesn't have a window in it, I hate to not put a window in a store one just because we're replacing it. That one doesn't need replacing. So they may not all be identically the same.
I thought I heard you say that you wanted them to be uniform.
Well, I said we have some that are, well, we don't, for instance, the wooden ones are either rotting, so they need replacing. So we have to either match one side or the other.
Right.
But if you look at the pictures, right to the right of the store, when you go upstairs, that's a brand new door. So I wasn't looking to take out a brand new door and throw it away. So I guess on the doors that we're going to replace, we'll get pictures of what we're going to replace them with, and we'll show them to you that way, I guess, because they're all different now.
The ones that you're going to keep, are they themselves similar to each other?
Yeah, like for instance, well, one has 2 little windows in top and the other one has no windows. So I'm not going to throw that one away just because it has 2 little windows in top. It's not, I don't see it changing the look of the front of the building enough to do that. The mix and match is part of the history. I know I did say that because I like symmetric too.
Yeah.
But I don't like taking out something we paid someone to install and throwing it away because I don't think it's going to ruin our look. It's more if it's a rotted door and we don't, we go to paint it, we're just covering it over with paint, and that's not smart.
Right. Well, the reason I was asking if the ones that you're going to keep were all similar to each other, then maybe it would be just as easy to match the others that are going to be replaced to those. But if within that subgroup you've got differences, then that argument goes away for me.
I agree. I trapped myself. I agree. Okay. I didn't pre-plan that answer. When we went around with our carpenter and we looked at replacing the doors, and I couldn't believe how much they were all different because we weren't noticing. So we'd have to come up with something that's an average of the 2 probably is the way to do it. So that would be my proposal anyways. I'm not sure what other questions people have. Although if you want pumpkins, she's got pumpkins out there for sale now.
So would you are in agreement that the doors that you're going to replace will be historically appropriate to the age of the building? In other words, you're not just going to do a flat panel, hollow,
Do you have the picture up that shows the Kingston candy? Because even the door we used going upstairs, because it was obviously blew open and it blew apart from the wind, that even has 6 panels. That has some look to it.
What I'll do is I'll share the screen of what we're looking at.
And I think
that would be good.
I'm not that technically advanced. Oh, you just pirated my
So what we're looking at is this is close to what it was. So you can see that we have this door here has problems where the blue arrow is.
Yes.
They're all different. The one going to the apartment upstairs, that's a brand new door because we were getting snow in there. So we did a repair. So this is what the front of it currently looks like.
Okay.
So we were trying to come up with something to replace these problematic.
Was this one to replace?
No, it hasn't been replaced yet.
No, is it on our list?
Yeah, it's on our list.
Oh, well, we could do no window in them and do that blank like goes upstairs.
We didn't give them a number that we were gonna do. We were just gonna, if we're gonna spend all this money doing the repairs, it would be foolish of us not to do the doors at the same time.
Yeah. And then in the back apartment, he just has a typical half half window,
No, I have that one too.
and that one's actually rotted. He's lived there 30 years.
So this is I know we already went by this one here, but that's the way the existing door looks now.
You know, it's interesting now that you've got that side showing. Oh,
No, that's fine. I'll put it back up. I was just gonna get
Kurt's
another picture.
fast. You got to watch out for him.
yeah. I was just going to say that side there, it's interesting looking at it because it shows that delivery door that you were talking about with the
Yes.
with the sort of the high deck there. You can see the framing around it and the pedimented framing, trim board at the top. There was probably a much larger door there at one time, and it got framed in, and just a small entry door got put in. So that probably was a significant delivery door, back in the day.
Good point. And that cement block actually has moved the foundation a little bit from them slamming into it with trucks. So yeah, you can see it in the basement. So yes.
Well, it's a loading dock basically. It's a small loading dock.
Yeah. Can you get to Glenn's?
Yeah, let me go.
He's trying to get to
Let me get
Glenn's
the back
apartment.
building. Let's see.
This is our first Zoom meeting for our board.
You're doing great.
Thank you.
You guys are doing great.
Yeah, I would much rather be face to face.
Where's the back one from Glenn? I don't know. I don't see it.
Well, anyways, in the back, it's just a typical half window, and so in his
right
case,
here.
he could have a half window because it's an apartment.
Well,
He wants the light.
this is the other one we were talking about. This is the side of town hall.
It's another door we probably don't need, to tell you the truth, but it's another one of those you kind of hate to get rid of it. It's not needed for egress.
Was it a door that you were planning on leaving as is?
No, we were going to take it out because it is wood and it is rotted and it is. So again, we want to get them all either to be steel or fiberglass, probably steel.
Here's Glenn's.
Yeah, there's Glenn's.
No, that's the wrong one.
He keeps wanting to show us the candy store, the poor candy store lady.
They have it anyways. There it is.
That's the back.
Yeah, that's the apartment on the back. That
It looks a lot better with the fake color on it right now than it is in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's he got there? 9 light 369. Yeah. I mean,
Now, is that scheduled for replacement also?
yes. But that one, I think I'll keep him with a 9 light because it's an apartment and he wants the daylight, you know?
When there are doors not side by side that serve different purposes, I don't mind if they look different. For example, there's an apartment, you want the light in there, there's no other door to compare it to. Across the front, when you're looking at all of those doors, that would be nice to have them all look alike. I don't care so much what they look like. I just think that row of them in that one-story addition, if you will, to the main building should be alike. Whether they have a skylight, a light at the top of them, or they're just plain, it doesn't matter to me so much, but I would think those should look alike.
Well, I'm going to ask a dangerous question to the board because you guys are most of you are ladies and you have more design experience than we do. What do you like better? There's the 9 light, there's the 2 light, there's the no light.
Well, you're not going to be
Good job.
replacing, you said you don't want to replace the new one that's right beside right at the end of that one there.
How about I will if it'll make someone smile?
I'm smiling at the 2 light.
Okay, so one door isn't worth, going back, for us, as I heard myself saying, and I said, really, we throw away doors. sometimes. We hate, believe me, we're collectors too. We're trying not to be. So if the preference of the majority is the 2 light, maybe we'll just make all 3 of those 2 light, and then that solves the question. And then even the one on that side towards the town hall could be a 2 light.
Mhm.
I like
You guys like that?
I do.
Yep, that would work.
Sure.
I'm making notes about this, so when we submit our adjustments, 2 light, and then side door will be 2 light, and then we'll let Glenn's be a. So, okay, I think that's good. If you guys like the 2 light, you made the decision for us. See that?
Ken, I'm gonna interject for 1 second about pictures of what the building looked like. There is an older picture on the Kingston website under Historic District Commission under Kingston Cultural Resource Survey and Inventory. And if you click down, you click on your property, and there's a picture down at the bottom of it that looks like it's in the 70s, the cars, or it might have been early 70s. And actually you can see that there was a window on the top floor. In between those 2 that are there now, there were actually 3 windows across. There was a window on the side facing the town hall that's been eliminated. So it's kind of interesting to see what it looked like back then. The fan light is still there on, originally fan light, and the detail on the front columns of the building are the way that they are on the photos that Madeline sent as well. So those are, at least back into the 70s, those details were on the building. But I would recommend that you look at that picture because it's a sweet picture. Okay.
That was the Kingston Cultural Resource.
It was on the Kingston. If you go on Town of Kingston, go under Historic District Commission. On the left, you'll see a menu of, you'll see Kingston Cultural Resource Survey and Inventory Historic Districts. And then your building is on that list. It's in there. And you just tap on the link and you'll see the old picture.
I felt so lucky when we found out our building was on that important list. Probably not. We did see it one day. We were like, wow, look at this. It's one of the buildings they want to make sure. Yeah, okay, we'll look at that.
I have
John.
to tell you what year it is by looking at the cars in front, but I'm not good at that. It was when the post office was still there. So I think it would be worth you looking at just to see the details.
Maybe we can get Amazon to come in
There you go.
instead of the new post office, right?
There you go.
So what other questions do you guys have for us or direction?
I have a question.
Okay, go.
From Susan, I see the cultural resources picture. That's good. The one I have, the reproduction is so bad that I couldn't see the details that you can see there.
Right.
Okay, back to Kurt and Ken, what you sent for windows and siding. I found the color availability, and we were hearing granite gray and sterling gray. So those are there for us to see. On the ones that you sent that had to do with,
Whoa,
oh, there
look
you
at
go.
Look at that.
Yeah.
That is cool.
Somebody
That was in
Somebody
the
ought to tell
70s.
us, okay, tell us the year of those cars, fellas.
But
Well,
that
it
was,
tells you right here, 1979.
You were right, see, 70s,
I said
1979.
70s.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
because of Gail's Galley. She was there in the 70s.
Oh, look at that, Gail's Galley. Yeah.
And what
And
was
look
it?
at-
Oh, that was pizza and subs, huh?
Yeah, and that's now at Church Street Station. They built Church Street Station. They
Huh.
left that building there when the post office was moving out.
And you can see on the front of the building up high where that third window was eliminated in between those 2 side windows.
Oh,
Yeah, and they
yeah.
had boarded it up by that point, yes. Yeah, that's
And one on the other side facing the town hall.
And they had
Okay.
a round Kingston General Store sign.
Huh? Huh.
Ah,
So much for me and my old sign.
Yeah.
No, they agree. No, they agree. And they had sills, yeah, and those windows. Can you see the doors? I don't know that you can really see the doors.
No, they had a screen.
They had a storm door. Jeez,
Yes.
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, there's a storm door
It
there.
looks like the other door might have been a plate glass door. Well, that
Yep.
was the post, right?
For
That
the
looks
post
plate glass.
office.
Post
Yeah, that
office
was plate.
door, yeah.
All right, we already decided on that anyway. The consensus
Okay.
was the 2 lights, so we're going to give you guys the 2 light
Okay.
doors.
All right,
And
so
then-
I'm on this page with your siding. So I looked at the colors and that granite gray and the sterling gray are the darker and lighter. But there's also some samples of the siding itself. Are you looking to put in the 8-inch clapboard lap siding wood grain? Is that what we're going to see?
I don't think so, because the typical is 4-inch clapboard. John, are you on? Can you tell us that?
It's gonna
Is
be
it-
the 4-inch clad board. It's 8
Okay.
inches
4-inch
wide, but
Dutch lap
4
lap
inches to the
siding.
weather. No, 4-inch standard, not Dutch lap. Dutch lap's made for camp.
Okay.
Yeah,
So yours is,
the 4-inch regular would most closely replicate a traditional cedar type clapboard on a building.
Okay.
Like
All right, I see one that says 4-inch clapboard lap
you have now.
siding wood grain. Is that it?
that's what it is, yes.
Okay.
They can get it in wood grain or they can get it in smooth. It doesn't really make a difference. You can buy it either way.
You may have had that in your text description, but when I saw a picture of it, that sinks into my head better. Thank you.
I think the wood grain is appropriate.
Yes.
And you're not doing any repairs on the roof?
No, the roof at this time is in good condition.
You asked, Ken, I think it was Ken, you asked a question earlier when we were talking about that fan light up at the top of the building.
Yes.
There was a question about whether or not it should be saved as is or whether you should have a vinyl replica made of it.
Yes.
I don't know what condition it's in, but from my own personal perspective, I think that keeping it as original as possible would be my preference, because I know what happens when some windows like that get done in vinyl. You can look at the town hall as an example. It's okay, but it's really not historically representative. So my preference would be to keep it if that's of any value.
I agree.
I'd like to see it kept and restored too. Maybe find a type of paint that will last, I don't know. Since you're not doing the whole building in paint, maybe one of these extra durable rhino paints or something would be feasible on that window so that you don't have to get up there and paint it every 8 years, 10 years.
Yeah, you gotta have a lift to do it, and you're right on the corner. Okay, I imagine the consensus is you guys would like me to save that window.
Yes.
So let's just agree that we will save that window. And what we're gonna be doing is insulating the attic, because that's all attic there, see? So we'll deal with that. I get it, so.
So that's not usable space up there? You don't use that for anything?
No, it's just an attic. In fact, we're sealing off the attic. We're doing insulation too with this. That's separate of you guys. We're doing a significant amount of insulation because it's electric heat there, and the tenants really.
Really?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh boy.
Ouch.
And then the store heater is another story. So we have lots of other upgrades, but we wanted to start on the outside. So that's what, John's trying to get it done this year. So we're trying to figure out how to get it there. So.
I have one more question, mostly to the board and maybe to you guys as well. We now have this 79E thing, is that only for buildings that are on the National Historic Register, or is it for significant buildings in town that are historic?
Well, it's for significant historic structures and really anything in the historic district, HD1.
Okay.
Well, it's
Okay.
interesting. I can answer that a little bit because we're in Goffstown on an old Cumberland Farms. And actually they came to us because we don't look for that. And it's the same thing. It's another tax deferment. So we did fill that out already and file it with Kingston as well.
Okay, well, that might help you pay for some of the more expensive things that we're asking you to do, such as exact replicas of trim and things like that, which will be
Right.
Pricier than just covering up architectural details, but it's important that they're preserved.
So Ellie had suggested that, and I passed that on to
Okay. Okay.
Ken and Kurt. So, so you've taken them up on that?
We really hate subsidies, but we decided we would at least file for it. And like I said, we were in Goffstown on a different matter, and they gave it to us. And you have to file for it before your building permit. So that's why we already submitted the paperwork.
Good.
So we are. So thank you, yes, for bringing it up. Now we just need a little donation from the Historic Commission, from all the volunteers.
Hey, Ken, you can have my full year's pay.
I believe me, I was a chairman of a planning board. I know what the pay is, and every year it was the same.
Yes.
Get 100% raise every year.
Every year, but I learned a lot, didn't I?
There you go.
Don't tell Susan. That's how I lured her into being chair. She thought she was going to get paid what I got paid. I told her yes, she would.
That demanded
discussed
twice the
it.
salary. They're paying twice what you used to get.
Oh, my
Right.
God. Too many comedians.
Oh, dear.
Do we have more questions, discussion? Are we ready to,
Well, where did we line up for the cornice boards and all of that? How will we see the replicas if they match, or they're just a separate detailed thing, but it's not the same? How do we see that?
Well, I hate to put words in the applicant's mouth, but I heard that the detail was going to be preserved. It just might not be with real wood. It might be with PVC. But that the detail is going to be preserved.
That is correct. That is what John said. I think he's frozen again in time, but that is, and I forgot that detail, but one of the things he had told us was he could replicate what we have.
Okay.
So it'll be on us to make sure that he stays honest on the replication. And I think I obviously know he will, because he's done a lot of this work. He started mentioning the other towns, and I don't know if he's J&R Roofing and Siding. He does a lot in a lot of places. So he's very experienced with this, and he understands the importance to the Historic Commission, and he understands our position is we don't want hassle. We don't want trouble. We don't want anyone thinking we're sneaking. So, and we're very strong about that, which is why we called about changing the electric panels, because we didn't want to change those if there was a significant issue within the Historic Commission. So, because we're also changing those while we're doing this as well. Oh, Kurt just put up Glenn's old door. I don't know if you can see it. So I guess the answer to that from my perspective is we've committed to replicate what's there. And if we end up putting up something that doesn't look like the picture, we have a problem.
Well, and I guess that's the point, is that if that's your intent and if that's what you're committing to, that's what the ultimate approval would be. And if and since there's good documentation of what that looks like,
We know.
there's going to be a good reference point to check.
Yes. What?
Did we also have to talk about stairs? The apartment
No.
stairs? Is that what that is?
Sorry, there was a little issue when I had Kurt fill out the application, in that there's just a broken piece of concrete on the front stair that we're having repaired. We put that in there. We're not changing it. We're not trying to redo anything. It's just a danger and it needs repairing. Whether we put a steel to
So
hold
it's
it,
this step. Right
he's going to show you the step. You see, Yeah.
Right next to this flower.
it's right with she keeps a flower pot there, the flower lady. So Heidi. So yes, and I think we've covered all the stuff that would really be making a change, and I'm gonna look at these posts because we got to figure out how we're gonna replicate.
Well, this is what we
those.
have now.
Yeah,
they're not even the same.
Actually, they're not even the same right now.
We want to see the nice looking ones, not the junky one on the corner.
Yeah.
Which one do you like? One with a little bit of roundness going on instead of the corner.
One-
Yeah.
Right where your cursor is there.
Right there.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
So the broken step is right here.
We're gonna see what we can find on that. Yeah. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, because when they redid those a number of years ago, so yes.
You should be able to find those in fiberglass with the capital bases.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk to John when he's not frozen to see what he can get for us in more of a replica if we could.
I don't remember there being a really decisive answer on the windows as far as how many lights
Right.
with the grids are going to be decided. I don't remember. That needs to be specified as well. I know that there's going to be a variety, but let's get a little bit more specific than that, please.
Why don't I answer that? So the store we'll try to keep the store with the two on top and the straight glass on the bottom.
I like that.
Because I think it looks good, and I don't think it will matter to the company that's going to make them for us.
Yes.
And then
Yeah, that would look
I think the other ones will probably just go with a 9 light.
No,
Because
when you say
9 lights.
Nine
well,
over 10.
they're double hung, so it's going to be something over something.
Yeah.
Well, it's either 6 and let's go to one that we saw earlier.
Yeah, hold on.
Glenn's door has 6. They call them 9 and 6, so I would say we'd probably do the 6, but I'm trying to look here. He doesn't have any he doesn't have any grills in his house. I know the grills are important, and most of these windows don't have grills right now.
I think that would look really nice with grills on that section, actually.
Right. So I guess I don't want to use the wrong term and have you guys say to me later, hey, Ken, you said, I think they're either called 6 light or 9 lights, but you're right. They're double hung. So you're going to have 6 and 6, I think. I think it's 12. Let's just say 6 and 6 for double hung. Boy, double hung. So, and we're going to have them inside the windows, so they shouldn't disappear. And that's actually important for you guys, particularly on the front of the building. Does that sound good?
Good.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you're proposing 6 over 6s, Ken?
Yes. Kurt's got the window brochure up. We're trying to see if we can. I think John's got his cockatool or something, and he's. Yeah, I believe it's 6 over 6.
Yeah, it may be the windows in the top of the store. They're so big. I mean, if they're 12 over 8s, they may need to be 9 over 6. And I think it would be fine if they suggest 9 over 6 in the top, and then in the lower side section, you do 6 over 6 lights.
I agree, Madeline.
Yeah. See, the Colonial is 9 and 9 on the. Kurt just put that up for us.
Okay.
9 and 9.
9 and 9 is kind of like I'd prefer it a little bigger myself, but I don't know about you guys. If I can get 6 and 6, I'm okay with that, and it could also be 9 and 9.
Yeah. It may have to be 9 and 9 at the top of the store and 6 and 6 on the sides, just because they're so big.
Are these grid patterns the only ones that are available for these windows? It's unusual for them to have a 9 over 9 and not a 6 over 6, which is much more common.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I'm going to say 6 over 6, and then if we want to go 9 over 9, you guys won't mind that because that's a little more grids.
Well, I think as Madeline was saying, it might very well depend on the size of the window, because the bigger the window, it might justify a different grid pattern.
Yeah, they
I
should really.
think, I think 9/9 on the front of that one-story addition would make
Mhm.
awfully small panels
Yeah.
there. So 6/6 to me would be good on the one-story addition to the main building. And then the 9/9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
It's 12 over
Is
8
it not? Yeah,
Or eight.
12.
or 8
Well,
over
those
12.
could be
whatever.
9, those would be all right, 9/9. They don't
Yeah.
have to be 12/8, but I think 9/9 for the lower windows is too small. Too small a pane. 6/6,
Okay.
I think, would be better.
So 6/6 for we'll call it the retail.
Now,
Yep.
look at the picture that you've got there right now on the screen. The 2 upper windows are 6/6.
Yes, they are.
And then the three windows above the porch have many more lights in
You're
them.
like 8/10 or something like
4,
that.
8,
Those are
12.
16.
I guess we're gonna have to see what the window company suggests that will look right to the scale. Those must be bigger windows.
They don't
Well,
look
if-
bigger.
Looks like smaller windows. It's weird. They must have just put in whatever they could find, and not really cared about how it looked.
Well,
Back
I'm looking at it. Let's see, I can't. Kurt, let's see. You're right. They look smaller, but I'd have to look at the building to see. I don't know why they would have done that. So anyhow, the 6/0, I like the bigger. I like a lot of open space myself. So the 6/6 would give it a little more light versus more grills. But if someone disagrees with me, then we're up for talking about it.
I
So-
don't mind the 6/6 and the big windows in front.
Yep,
don't
that looks fine.
Ones that are up top. Those are kind of original looking.
Yeah.
Because even back in the 1970s, those top windows were 6/6, big panes.
Okay, so let us plan on that. Then you can write that down. We'll do 6/6 on the front.
Well, would you like to, between now and the next time we meet,
Yep.
you'd like to do a little bit of research and then come back to us with what it ends up to be, so that way we will know exactly what you're planning on doing?
Yes. Do you guys meet once a month or?
We do.
Yes.
Right. So that's the only thing we're trying. We got to make sure we're in consensus so John can keep us on the schedule, and the insulation company's coming. So we're just trying to make sure that we have some type of conditional approval so that we can make the commitments to these contractors. And
Well,
Yeah,
insulation, you can go ahead and do. I mean, that doesn't need our approval. Repairs to the steps would be considered maintenance, and unless you were making a change to it, technically that doesn't need our approval either.
yeah, he may not be able to get it done this year. We were just trying to, especially the windows. And because if it's a month from now, we're in November. And then by the time he orders things, so we would lose another month. So I don't know how to do that and keep everything moving. It's funny. Kurt's looking at that one in the 70s, and those are still the same way. 3, 6, 9.
You've got
And then-
6/6s up above on that third floor.
Yeah.
3, 6, 9. Actually, right above the roof, it looks like they're 18, 9 and 9.
Those are the same ones.
3, 6,
I think
9.
they're the same windows that are there now.
Yeah.
Well, it's an interesting question whether or not you think that has a historical value. If it does, those can stay. We can get those grills.
In the old picture of the 70s, it looks like those three are newer. See how they're white around them and the rest of them are all dark around them? They look like
Yeah,
they were replacement windows
Interesting.
or added. I don't know. Or maybe, didn't they say they added a story? Maybe those were put in when they added a half a story or something.
You just wonder sometimes. It's amazing how this building was built, the main structure. The post and beam part of it is
Is there a
very.
basement under it?
There is. It's a usable basement, actually. You can walk around and, yeah. It's huge granite. It was, they read that earlier. It's huge granite foundation. Yeah, so, I mean, most of the stuff I feel like we can commit to. The only thing I think we're a little bit in limbo about, and it's not because we don't want to do it, it's that we want to make sure that we can get you the right window lock. You know, on the amount of lights.
And an answer on the fan window, or no, I guess we have one. You are going to restore that and not try to replace it. True.
Yeah, no, yep, we've all agreed.
Okay.
And whether it may not, we may just have them vinyl all around it and then go back and take care of the window. That may be what we have to do. That's fine. I think it's a cool window too, by the way. I was actually thinking of offering those on the doors, you know, across the front of the building on the other side. I was thinking of those half moons, but it might look a little funny.
Yeah.
It might be too many fans.
Yeah, keep those simple.
We've already got it. We've already promised you.
Yeah.
The two
Yeah,
lights.
right.
So I guess it looks like we need to have a few more details answered and you come back next month. Is that the plan? What
If-
do we have
well,
more discussion on this from the board or suggestions?
No, if you don't feel you can vote tonight with some conditions, because with conditions, we can order a lot of things. And without conditions, we can't. Because someone might change their mind next month.
What do the commission members feel about doing a conditional approval, or do you feel like do you believe that we need to have this more concrete application, more thorough and complete application? What's the consensus here?
I realize that this does not meet the applicant's timetable, but I believe that there's enough outstanding detail that I would prefer to see a final proposal with all the detail that we need at the next meeting.
Okay. Anyone else? Is that a no from nobody else? No other?
No, I agree with Glenn.
I would also agree with Glenn. I just feel like the application is just a little too incomplete for me to,
Yeah. We're close.
We're close.
We're
but
close.
We
All right,
need
we'll see.
details hammered
We'll see
out.
next month.
Well-
We're not going to argue about that. Yeah.
And I think we've made a lot of progress tonight. I mean, I think we're much further than I thought we might have been when I first saw the application come in. So I think this has been a really good discussion. And
Good.
So
I
I think it would be very important to be clear what we specifically want from them so that they produce examples or choices. So are we agreed that we understand about the siding and the trim? Do we need more information about either the siding or the trim? We might like it written down, but have we discussed that enough, the siding and the trim?
Yes, as long as the applicant, I think, yes, as long as the applicant understands and will write in writing that they will exactly replicate the trim,
Okay,
Just close.
not just close, but to replicate the trim.
Right.
Giving us examples of how that's going to be done, give us, do the research, find the exact columns that are going to be installed.
well, don't we want to know on the trim, is it going to be PVC or, I can't remember the other thing they said.
I
So we
think
want to know the material of the trim.
the material. and-
We already know it's PVC, but I
Okay,
think he was
all right.
saying there's a composite where they use PVC and vinyl, but
Okay,
I'm not-
so PVC.
PVC, yeah.
Okay.
So
So are we clear on the doors? Or do we need more information on doors?
the applicant has assured us that he'll do 2 light doors, but a picture of the exact doors would be very helpful.
Okay,
Okay.
The application more complete. This is the exact door we're going to be installing and how many of them, which ones,
Okay.
and which
Right.
ones, and which doors are not going to be replaced, just to make the application more complete.
okay. And windows, I know that we've gone back and forth, and there may be some more information that the window maker will give us for those larger windows that seem to be 12 over 12 or 12 over 9. I can't quite tell. So we're looking for specifically what the windows in each window place will look like. Is that correct?
Correct.
And so is there anything else that I hate to have them come back and then we say, oh, we forgot to ask you what this was.
Right. I made a lot of notes here and I can't see anything that you have missed. Where's made of PVC duplicated exactly? Does anyone else have anything that they would like to see more specified on the application for next month's meeting?
Susan, should there be a picture of the trim, specific trim? I know when I redid the Church Street house, we had the Greek Revival trim around the windows and doors. Do we need a picture of those to know exactly what we're looking for the building? And I'm not saying anything different. I'm saying they're going to replicate the trim, but
Yes.
how do we know they replicate unless we have a picture of what's to be replicated?
So Ellie, are you meaning a picture of what's there now so that we can match it to?
That's correct.
I think
Yeah.
we should send our photographer, Madeline Willett, out to
Okay.
take some very good close-up pictures of trim and send it to the applicant so that,
Yeah, and have that as
Clear.
part of the record. It's all that, it's just a
Yes.
matter that we do it the way, I mean, these gentlemen are taking the time and expense to replicate
Yes.
a building that we are very fond of. And the least we could do is be sure that they know, that they're given the right information with which
I
to work.
agree.
Great.
Yes.
Very good.
Yep. And those photos then can become part of the approval. There'll be, and it's something that the building inspector, when he goes out to
Correct.
check on things, he'll have a good reference point. So
Correct.
Exactly.
Yep.
Does the
So
applicant?
when is the next meeting?
November 10th.
Oh, that's a busy day. That's a busy day, November 10th.
How do you know?
Kurt's got 2 birthdays in his family that day. That's why I know.
wow.
Aha, see? All right. So we'll see you guys next month. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your hard work. We're anxious to see this building spiffed up and back to the center of commerce. Yay.
Thank you,
I
guys.
know this-
Good night. Yep.
I know this isn't a formal public hearing, and if it were, we'd have to do a formal continuance of this, but for the record, I'd like to make a motion to continue this discussion at our November 10th meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor? Susan Prescott, aye.
Virginia Morris, aye.
LALSEO,
Glenn Koppelman, aye.
Madeline Willett, aye.
So moved. So Ken and Kurt, we'll put you first on the agenda for the November meeting, okay?
Great, thank you.
We're going to be ready. We'll see you then.
All right,
Okay.
great.
Thank you.
Take care.
Have a good night.
Those fucking columns are so tiny. They weren't that bad. They weren't that bad, you know. They look bad.
Hello.
You guys,
we can hear
hey, can you guys hear me talking about you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not that bad, are we?
I said you were very nice.
You gotta
Very nice.
shut your microphones off there.
But then you weren't saying anything bad.
Good
That's
night.
funny. That's funny.
Oh,
Well, there were no swear words. That's good.
Yeah,
I wasn't talking either.
I'm going to be in trouble if I don't read this from Ralph because he will find out. This is Ralph's comments. I should have read it first and I forgot. In reference to the renovations plans, of course, I would agree that any updates must comply with maintaining the historical character of the building / complex. I am, though, curious as to why there seem to be so many restorations involved. Hope these comments are useful for the meeting. Sincerely, Ralph. So
Noted.
I read his comments, okay,
Excellent.
in front of witnesses. Now, public comment? Do we have any public?
I'm not the public, but I would like to make a comment about an application before we finish.
Sure.
I think that there was some discomfort from the application to tear down the metal barn and put up a new barn, garage, I'll say, on what street?
Scotland Road?
Scotland Road. Thank you, Ellie.
Yep.
I did some extra work on that. We were uncomfortable with all of us, and one abstention from voting aye, with looking at a picture that did not match the description.
Oh,
And hidden in the long description, I think most of us were satisfied that the description, verbal description, was okay, but certainly didn't match the image. And I've thought about that, and I think that I wouldn't like to do that again, that the image should match the description. However, since we voted that way, I spent a lot of time with the detail addendum I kind of add to the certificate of approval. So when there are details that we talk about, I make sure that spec sheet, if you will, is added. And not the great long one that was given to us, but the key points that we cared about. We didn't care about septic systems and all of that. And I spent quite a bit of time talking to Robert Stewart about that, and that the picture that was coming to him about the new shed, new garage, didn't look like what we agreed to. And I marked that picture up a lot, and then I typed out a lot of details of what we agreed to. And I asked him to please check very carefully as that progressed, that we were fine with knocking down that crummy old metal building, but to please watch carefully as the new building is going up, that it met the written description and the scribbly drawn over image of the garage that wasn't going up. In the future, I would not vote for that. But I did do some extra work with Robert and asked him to keep close tabs on that because it was so different from the image. And so he said he made a copy of both the picture and the descriptor that I added for the details to take with him when he checks on it.
what a good idea to let him know ahead of time what's coming. That was great.
Well, I try to do that, but when it's something that we weren't totally comfortable with, I thought that was extra important.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that was, I mean, now that you brought that up, Virginia, I mean, that was, I believe I was the abstention, and
Yes.
it was for that very reason, because we had just gone through 2 meetings with, and now we had a 3rd one tonight with the Levesques, and I mean, we're sending them back because they weren't showing us exactly what was going to be approved. And then all of a sudden this one comes in and
Improve it.
and we're just told to, oh, well, just imagine this. Well,
Right. I agree.
Yes.
I agree.
Yes, and it's, we work hard to be consistent, but that really was not consistent. And I've made a mental check to myself about that. That's why today I wanted to make sure that the suite team was clear on what we were looking for, so we really can see. And I'm glad you said, what are the specific doors going to look like? And each thing we need to know exactly what it's going to be. Otherwise, how can we say, oh, that wasn't what I was expecting, if we haven't gotten it clear ahead of time?
And that's where I was going with the trim. I mean, he was pretty cavalier at the beginning. He did settle down, but I was concerned like he was blowing us off, like, yeah, we'll do this, this, and this, and then do what he wants.
Yeah.
And it's clear that that building has had that happen to it a lot over the last 50 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if he thinks he's going to get tax relief for a few years, then it should be exactly what we want.
Yes.
Exactly. Yep.
Yes.
And
well, and
ahead.
I mean, with that being the case, I mean, if I had known that at the beginning of the hearing or beginning of the meeting, I mean, my tone might have even been much different with regard to, maintaining the historic materials on that building. If he's really going to be seeking 79E, I'm not sure that I would be comfortable with things like vinyl siding and all that other stuff. So,
Well, the intent of 79E was that there aren't too many, there really are not that many properties that would really qualify. They have to do at least $75,000 worth of repairs.
right.
And replicating the trim alone could add up to that, because I know what I went through on the church, the cross house on Church Street, because we ended up painting the wood as opposed to PVCing it, because that was a heck of a lot more expensive. It was cheaper for me to paint the trim every 5 years than to do the PVC, and it was better for the building in terms of historic preservation. So he's got to go through a lot of hoops to even get that. And the selectmen may only, and the planning board, as the case may be, may only give relief for a few years. It doesn't have to be a lot of years. You know what I'm saying? So he may get some relief, but that was the other building in town when we looked at doing a 79E legislation. That building and the 70 were the two that came to mind. There aren't a lot of others that would qualify.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, and Ellie, you did talk to me about that, and I suggested that to him last summer. And his first reaction is, no, we're not interested. So I was surprised when he told me tonight that he actually ended up putting that paperwork in.
Huh.
Well, I mean,
that's-
that was interesting. Interesting.
That's an iconic building in our historic center. So, I mean,
Right.
make it look nice.
Right.
So I just have a question. If he goes before the selectmen or planning board and says, I want to put vinyl siding up, can you give me 79E? Will the siding be an issue with them?
No.
It won't?
Even with Mr. Chinberg, Susan, you sat on that meeting with us. We don't know all the specifics. He's still going to have to come back before the board. But he's guaranteeing he's going to historically preserve the exterior of that building. And that's really where 79E is based on. We know he's not going to replace that brick. That building's even easier to determine qualifications for 79E. It's a no-brainer. This one, you might, it depends on if he really does the trim like he says he's going to do, and he keeps the window and puts the Kingston Country Store round circular sign. All that's a plus. Never mind the fact that building has been an eyesore in town for years.
Yes.
And if he jazzes it up like he says, to me, that's historically preserving a piece of our history that needed that kind of TLC.
Yeah.
So would I be likely to give him a break for a few years? I would be likely to give him a break.
He's been very straightforward with me in that they needed to do an insurance repair on the fire escape back stairway for the upstairs apartment, and let me know it was just a repair, because I ride by on my little bicycle, I see lumber and stuff out there, but it was just a repair. And he also checked with me, could he redo the electrical boxes? Well, it was just a repair that needed to be done there. It wasn't a change. So he's been pretty straightforward about any of the things that he's done. So I feel good about that. But I think we did the right thing to ask for more detail. I felt like there was an awful lot floating out there that I didn't really have locked in.
Well, he gave off the feeling that things are pretty loose, and I think the detailed list of how you and Susan write up that approval will be important. Will be the guideline. That really is the guideline. And he was too loose for me, even for me, and I'm pretty loose about stuff like that. I'm not the detail lady on the group. I'll tell you that right now. Yeah. Go ahead and do it. But it needs to be done. It needs to be done.
One thing I wanted to bring up, just in my belief system, is that, you know, how he mentioned that he could name a bunch of different properties in the HD that have vinyl siding. just because we've approved vinyl siding on some buildings doesn't mean that we've set a precedent and have to approve it every time. It's a case by case situation. And I was the one that said to him, I don't like the idea of putting vinyl on that building. I'd like to see it in wood clapboards, but I felt like he was going to just start holding us over a barrel. Or you've got, you know, vinyl siding on this building and this building and this building. It was different boards and different circumstances and properties. So don't feel like you have to approve it every time if you don't think it's the right thing for that property.
Is it true that the cement board is breaking down and there's class action suits? Because we've approved some homes in the historic district with cement board. So
Yeah,
I hope that's not true.
That's the first that I've heard of it, but that's a good thing to do.
I hadn't heard that either, Madeline, and I mean, I know that it's still a fairly common construction material around here.
Yeah.
Not only on restorations, but on newer homes. And so I don't know.
Yeah.
I will do some research on that if I get a chance to, because I'm super busy.
I did a research on that to compare the price of vinyl siding with hardy board or cement board. And those, I'll call them fiber boards, there are lots of different names, are $5 to $10 a square foot in general, where vinyl is $3 to $7 a square foot. And the installation cost, they say, this is just what I read, is 50% more than vinyl because it's so heavy that it's hard to install. But I did not read anything about it breaking down. It seemed to me that everything I read was that it was very hardy.
Right. Right. Well, and it's I mean, the labor is more because they're put up as individual boards, just like a wooden clapboard would be. And
Yes.
vinyl comes in blocks and sections there where it'll be, you know, multiples. So
Right.
that it goes on much faster.
Right. Plus the vinyl is very light compared to putting up the cement board.
Yep.
But I didn't read about durability in this climate. I don't know.
This afternoon, I just sent a couple of links to some interesting reading on siding. And one of them is from the National Park Service. I think there's a link on our website as well to this particular thing. But it mentioned that the cost of replicating trim could make it prohibitive to install vinyl siding rather than just restoring and painting. You know what I mean?
That's what Ellie experienced.
Exactly correct, because that was one of our options, because when I came before this board, we wanted to keep the trim because it was the Greek revival. And so I think we talked about, well, either we're going to paint or, you know, clean off scrape the paint and repaint, or get the PVC replacements. And that was very expensive. To me, it wasn't worth it. It was cheaper for me to have it painted every 5 years.
Right.
And maintain the wood. That was okay. But the real maintenance as an owner was the clapboard. So as long as I was happy with the vinyl and the windows for the tenants, with new windows that would retain heat within the building. Those are the important elements. But the trim, it's beautiful in the building, but I can live with paint because it was so expensive to do the PVC replacements.
Right.
And I don't remember the cost, but it was expensive.
I just have a few more things and then we can wrap this up because it's after 9 already. I did get another email from All American Assisted Living with their sign request for all their little signs and stuff. And I directed them to the website, told them about, you know, the application process that they'll have to come, that new signs in the historic district will need a certificate of approval. That's the answer that I got from Glenn Greenwood. The only thing, it's very vague. Our sign ordinance is super vague in my opinion. I thought that they could have a temporary sign up for 30 days. I didn't say this to them, but I think there's some language in the ordinance about temporary signs. But anyway, I told them that they should come before, look for a certificate of approval for additional signs. So that was one of the things. I wanted to ask how everyone is feeling about starting to meet in person. I know there are some boards in town that have started to meet 6 feet apart, socially distant at the town hall. And I'm wondering if you all are more comfortable doing this Zoom for another couple of months, or if you're more willing to get together in a meeting safely distant. I know it would help Ralph Murphy because he's not able to attend meetings electronically. So what are your thoughts on that?
I'm still not prepared to meet in person yet.
Okay. Anyone else?
I'm doing both because the zoning board, we're a 5-person board plus our secretary. So we have no trouble with 6 feet distancing in this town hall. And we don't usually have a crowd. And all applicants do come in with masks, and we wear our masks until we sit at our tables. I happen to like Zooming on the HDC, to be honest with you. I don't have any, so for me, it's a combination. We're gonna have more people that participate here. I love the Zoom on the planning board. There's no issue. I go because I'm interested in the hearings. I go as Jane Q Public. And the select board has them in person. So I can go either way. I do like the Zoom. I can't tell you I don't. I do like it. But
Okay.
I'd be cautious about the number of people in the room. That would make me nervous.
Okay.
That would make
What about you, Madeline?
I could go either way, but I think it's working out fine
All right.
with the Zoom right now.
All
And
right.
we may want to do this through the winter. I mean, because we could still have the meetings, not worry about inclement weather or anything.
Okay.
COVID's not going away
Mm.
till next summer, maybe.
Well, COVID's not going away, and even though we're still pretty lucky in this state, our numbers are starting to rise.
Yeah.
And,
Right, and the flu seasons are going to arrive as well.
That's true.
Okay, so what we should do is just plan on doing this for the next, I don't know, few months through the winter. Is that okay?
Yes.
And if anyone feels like we need to revisit the subject, then just bring it up at a meeting, okay? So we'll continue on this platform. I got a thing from Susan Ayer about the Certified Local Government Annual Report. Am I supposed to be involved in that? What am I supposed to do with that? Virginia, you can tell me, right?
I'll help you with that.
Thank you. 5 days a month.
She said with a grin.
All right, I'll chat with you about that maybe Thursday or Friday.
There's a format that you use and you fill in, and I have information about it, and I'll help you with that.
Okay, thank you.
Was there a deadline for that, Susan?
October 31st, I think. I think it's
No problem.
no problem. I know. Yeah, I think that's when it was. Okay. So because she emailed it to me, and I think that's what it is. So as far as I can tell, I'm done. If does anyone else have anything?
No, I'm all set.
Somebody want to make a motion?
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
okay, you
Motion
have
made by Madeline, seconded by Virginia. Susan Prescott, aye.
Virginia Morris, aye.
Alessio, I.
Glenn Koppelman, aye.
Madeline Willett, aye.
Hey, guys, go get your flu shots.
I already got mine.
I got mine.
Aye.
See you all
mine.
soon.
Okay.
See you at the
Bye.
poll. See you in election day.
Yep.
Yes.
Right.
All right.
Don't forget to vote.
We
We
won't.
will not.
As often as you can.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Someone
Thank
can
you, ladies and gentlemen. Good night.
probably click off the recording now.
Thank you, Glenn. I was just going to ask you, so I'll hit recording and I'll hit stop recording.